Hello everyone, and welcome to the pitch presentation for the Merchants of Me, which is a Godot project led by Gabriel and myself. The project duration is starting today, November 13th, 2022, and going until March 19th of 2023. You'll see some of the artwork throughout the presentation, and that is all AI generated, and it will help give sort of a feel of the type of environment that we're trying to create with the game. So a little bit about us. Gabriel has been a 9-time game changer and a 4-time project lead. He's contributed to over 14 projects, mostly in the realm of design, art, and code. And then myself, I'm an 8-time game changer, a 5-time project lead, and then I've helped out on 10 plus other projects, mostly 3D modeling and code. So the goals of this Godot project is Gabriel is trying to learn and improve his skills with the UI interface of Godot and practice his 3D art direction and grow his turn-based design skills. And then for me, it's my first Godot project, so I plan on figuring out how the game engine works. I also love finance and strategy games, and I also want to try to create a project that's bigger than something that I could have been able to make on my own. So what is the Merchants of Me? Well, the leaders of the Kingdom of Me have assigned their merchants to go into the land and gather resources from all corners of the kingdom. It is up to the player to designate where the merchants are going to go and how many items the kingdom will need. So this project is taking some inspiration from, on the art side, low poly, unlit, and vibrant and colorful. We have a couple of screenshots here to sort of give the concept. We also took some inspiration from board games where we took the godlike perspective and the alternating turns perspective, where the player is pulled out and they can see the entire board and they can micromanage their various tokens that are on the board. And we also borrowed some ideas from video games like the Civilization series, where we have the merchants that can trade back and forth between different cities, and also Armello, which is a digital role-playing strategy board game. So the gameplay aspect of it, the ruler of the kingdom will issue the player objectives at the start of the game. The player will move their merchant tokens around the board to collect resources, and those resources can either be sold to different cities for money, or they can be returned to the castle to complete various objectives. When the player earns money, they can purchase additional merchants to help them achieve their goal faster. And then at the end of the player's turn, once they've used up all of their action points, then the board will play an event card, which has some effect on the board, which could be like making tiles impassable, increasing the value of some resources and others. So the player must complete the ruler's objective before the event deck runs out. So now I'll pass it over to Gabriel to go over the demo.
Thank you, Cass. Let's take a look at the demo. So this is the main scene that we have so far. Playing around with different camera angles to see which one is going to work the best for our game. So still kind of a little bit of work in progress. But let's see what we got. So we have a main menu with two options, new game and exit. Exit will close out the application and new game will start a new game. There's room to add more buttons here if we need them down the line, but this just gets us going. So we click new game and immediately we're brought to the main game space with the player turn. We have some basic UI set up. The action points will probably be displayed here, temporary, and then we have an end turn button. You can see that the map is, or the game board is filled with different types of tiles. So like the mountains here are impassable. We have some ocean tiles, forest, grasslands, that kind of stuff. And then we also have resources spawning on the game board. So grapes and coffee and things like that. So one thing that I can do is we have pathfinding working, so I can click to move to a tile and it'll take the shortest path to that tile. And yeah, so that's working. We have end turn, which will turn it over to the board's turn and then turn it right back over to the player's turn, since we don't have the board currently taking their turn, but the turn structure is there. And then we also have a game end screen. So right now, if you just end your turn twice, the game is over and we bring you here. Obviously, that's not going to be like that for the game. The game will be much longer, but just being able to have that loop going from screen to screen that we can test is really helpful. So we can, from here, either replay the game, which we will, or go back to the main menu. We also have pause working. So this is obviously temporary UI, but you can resume the game. Or if you quit from here, it takes you back to the main menu. And then exiting will close the application. That's what we have so far. Back to you, Cass.
Thanks, Gabriel. Taking a look at the Trello board here, we have our design notes, which links to an Excel spreadsheet, which has the various resources and different types of merchant traits that we hope to integrate into the game. We also have the targeted platform being WebGL. We'll see how well Godot handles that. For the audio, we're aiming for a little bit non-chiptune. And then for the 3D models, we did some experimentation and we realized that the GLFT files are the best for this project. We have the screenshots as the mood board that we used in the presentation. We have a couple of warm-up tasks, which include a mute and unmute button, the UI for the pause menu. We want to implement a font into the game, and we want to move the pause button onto the screen instead of using the escape key. The objective is to have the entire game be able to be played through the mouse alone. And then we have each of our tasks allocated from week 1, which would be next week, all the way until March 19th, which is week 18. And throughout that, we are a little bit heavy on the programming for the first couple of weeks, as well as the UI, but we're basically splitting this project into various groups. So the first group, which would be up until week 5, we have our vertical slice ready, where the player can go out with their tokens, pick items up, and return them to the king in order to complete the objective. We have a bit of a lull here for the Christmas and New Year's season over here. And then for the second week of the project, or the second bank of the project, we are going to have the merchants go out to the various cities and be able to sell goods to them to increase our money, so that way we can buy more merchants. And then we would like to add some life to the board. So this will be adding a robber to the board and adding more and different types of event cards. And then in the last part of the project, we'll be doing some fine-tuning, doing quite a bit of play testing, and then we will be doing some gameplay tweaks before the release. So that is the Trello board in a nutshell. We have lots of different ways to get involved. So like we have the programming aspect of it, which allows some turn-based items, some interaction with the cities, and some UI elements with that, and then environmental hazards. On the 3D modeling side, we have resources that will appear on the board, as well as the various board tokens. For the 2D art, we have the event cards, as well as the inventory items. For the UI, we have lots of menus, the turn display, and card events. For the music and audio, we have both sound effects, as well as background music. And then for the writing, we have some backstories on why the kingdom wants certain things, or some various flavor text for the character descriptions for the merchants. And then we could use some general world building flavor text. And that is the pitch for the Merchants of Me. If you have questions or if you're interested, please join the Merchants of Me channel. And as a reminder, this project is set to release on March 19th of 2023. We hope to see you there.